Who's joining us? Ashley Webster, heads up. Brian Bremberg, Scott Martin, all of us together. Scott, why is the market not rallying strongly today? Tell me.
Well, Stuart, I think this is more of the same from the administration, sadly. I think the market at one point or another is starting to figure out that, yes, while we're getting maybe a little closer to a deal with Democrats on tax reform, haven't we been here before? Haven't we gotten things like healthcare to the, say, 5-yard line, and they just have stalled? So I think the market is now in this wait-and-see mode where, yes, it's good news this morning, but we got to see some real progress here. Let's put something to the floor before we get excited any further.
Okay, Brian Bremberg, what say you?
Tax reform is supposed to be finished in late December. Just at the moment when a deal is supposed to come together, they're going to drop this bomb of a new debt ceiling negotiation, a new continuing resolution. It's going to blow everything up. The market's looking at it and say, this is the worst possible time for this to get delayed until.
I think this sets the scene for if we do get tax reform with the Democrats involved in this way, that it's going to be very watered down and not what the markets would like to see.
Oh, jeez. Throwing cold water all over my argument this morning. I guess you're right. We're up only 14 points as we speak, and there are plenty of losers on the Dow. Now this. Goldman Sachs, their chair, I should say, Lloyd Blankfein, he says he's worried about the market during a conference call. He said this yesterday: things have been going up for too long. When yields on corporate bonds are lower than dividends on stocks, that unnerves me. Your reaction to that, Bremberg?
I don't know why he's unnerved about that in a low inflation environment. That seems entirely plausible. There's probably other things like, can the global economy and corporate profits really drive the valuations we're seeing? That's his bigger worry, I think.
Okay, what do you say, Scott Martin?
I think it's interesting. You know, we hear a lot of these quote-unquote experts or executives come out and say, oh, my gosh, the market's overvalued. We're bringing down the positions in our book. And the reality is the market only goes up another 10, 20, 25% from this. So I like these comments because that, to me, believes that this market doesn't have believers in it. And that's exactly what pushes prices forward.
Ashley?
Well, so far, every backtrack we've made on the markets has been recovered with people coming in to buy on the dip. How long can that go on? I think it is treading water right now, as to what Scott was saying, waiting to see what can be done in Washington. I think the valuations are high but fair.
I think you're dead right, because we plateaued around 21.8, roughly speaking. We plateaued at that level. I thought that the tilt by the president to the Democrats on tax cuts, I thought that might give us a shot in the arm. Not so. Well, we are up 28 points. I guess we'll take that. I want to get back to Amazon. There's big news here. Amazon is searching for a location to build a second headquarters in North America. I want to ask everybody around the block here, where do you think they will choose? Scott Martin, I'm going to surprise you with this. Where will Amazon build its HQ?
I'm thinking Texas, Stuart. I mean, think about it. The recovery that's going on in Houston, the better tax situation in Texas. You know, that's the funny thing here, guys, is, you know, maybe this is kind of a little shot at Seattle in the sense of what's been going on there locally with taxation, and some of the representatives there talking about how onerous the tax policies are going to be. Maybe that's kind of the backdoor way that Bezos is being like, yeah, you know, even though I'm super liberal, I'm going to put my company in a better tax situation. Therefore, Texas, you're on the radar.
Scott Martin, that was very good, Martin. That was very, very good. Bremberg, what do you got to say?
I think Scott's right, south or southeast, but watch for the bidding war here. Amazon's gotten $1 billion out of state and local government to locate their warehouses. They're looking for a big, big kitty here. This is going to be a big bidding war, and the winner's going to be Amazon. The locale's going to be maybe in good shape. They're going to get some jobs, but this is going to be a lot of money on the line.
I was thinking maybe Atlanta is good tax in Georgia, no state income tax, but I think Scott's right. I think Texas, because they're also looking for software developers, and it's a great area right now, Texas, for software developers. They got all the land, and they can throw all sorts of incentives at Amazon to set up shop.
California, New York, Massachusetts, Connecticut, New Jersey. No way.
Good luck.
No way.
How
It's
about
not going to happen. Oh, Illinois.
No,
Yes, I'm sorry, I forgot.
Minneapolis is really the place. They're not going to do it, but Minneapolis is where they should go.
But they're not going to go there.
Minnesota's the greatest state in the
too
union.
cold.
Whatever you say.
Come on, Scott. You know it.
Move along. All right. I want to get to Irma because we've got Irma is really affecting a whole slew of industries. Start with the airlines. They have taken a hit. There's a tiny bit of a rebound today. How about cruise lines? They took a hit. Where are they today? Rebounding ever so slightly. Now look at the insurers, the ones that specialize in Florida. They took huge hits earlier this week. Now as Irma approaches further, they've not made a comeback. Universal is down some more. HCI is down some more. The other two basically unchanged after big hits in the last couple of days. Prices at the pump still going up, not much, but they're up. The increase was just about 1 cent overnight, so your national average is now 2.67. A week ago, it was, what, about 2.30, as I recall, something like that. Okay. Check the big board. No, we do not have a significant rally, despite the president's agreement with the Democrats. We're up 20 points. The retailer, The Gap, promising a new growth strategy. It says it's going to focus on its Old Navy and Athleta brands. It'll close about 200 underperforming Gap and Banana Republic locations. The stock is dead flat. GoPro, you know, the action camera guys, they're looking to the future. They say strong demand. They expect strong demand for their cameras in the months to come. The stock is up 15%. Ooh, just like that. I'll take that. To look at JetBlue and American Airlines, they cut ticket prices for people trying to leave Florida because of Irma. Prices went as low as $99. American Airlines up a fraction, JetBlue down a quarter, about 25 cents. That's it. Other airlines, including Delta, have been accused of price gouging, and Amazon has also been accused of jacking up the price of bottled water. Brian, what do you say? I mean, what do you say about price gouging?
Why are you smiling already?
Because a capitalist will say supply and demand. If you've got limited supply and big demand, the price goes up. There's nothing wrong with price gouging. What say you?
When demand spikes, one of two things happen. Either price has to go up or you get shortages. Look, I'm with the judge on this, but I'll modify it this way. Big companies with established brands have to steward their brands. They're in it for the long term, not the short term. If they do anything that looks like price gouging, they're going to be in trouble over the long term, which is why they have to moderate that impulse.
I think you're exactly right.
Taking advantage of people, I'm sorry, because the conditions are not normal supply and demand.
It's not
an extraordinary situation.
It's unnatural.
Yes, exactly.
It's not a free market.
Right.
In other circumstances, yes, it is. In supply, demand equals price. But this kind, no, that's
an exceptional
not the
situation.
Case. Scott Martin, elaborate on your point, please.
It's unnatural, Stuart. Like you said, this is not a free market where entrants can leave and come as they wish. They're forced to. Prices have to go up because of the fact that the environmental conditions are such. So, yes, it's unfair, as Brenberg said, for companies to take advantage of that because it's not a free market. It's a rigged one because of what's going on in the environment.
Okay. Hold on, Brian. I want to talk about something else, okay? I want to check with our producers. I want to talk about the Federal Reserve, and I do not wish to be buzzed, okay? Here we go. A new report claims that Gary Cohn, principal advisor to the president of the White House, likely will not be picked to lead the Federal Reserve because he criticized President Trump's response to violence in Charlottesville. Okay, it occurs to me, Scott, that President Trump is now in a position to reinvent the Federal Reserve. Not reinvent it, but to restock it. The number 2 guy is leaving. The number 1 person, Janet Yellen, is going. So he can reshape the Fed, can't he?
He could, and that's scary to me, to be honest with you, Stuart. If you look at how the markets responded to Janet Yellen, who, let's face it, she seems like a very nice lady, very calming, very elaborate on what she does at the Fed, and which I think is important. You know, I think the market, to some degree, if I may say, kind of screams for Yellen in some cases because of the fact that she's brought such stability. So if Trump is going to totally reinvent the Fed, as you talked about there, that could be disastrous for markets because markets have loved these low interest rates. They've loved the accommodative Fed. If that goes away, I don't know if I like the S&P here.
Okay, what do you say, Brian?
Drastic moves do not work well in monetary policy, including those people who call the shots in monetary policy. If he tries to reinvent the Fed in a radical way, that'll be problematic for him because the stock market has been riding on stability from the Fed.
I shouldn't have said reinvent the Fed. That's obviously an overstatement on my part. He is in a position to restock the Federal Reserve Board.
But even if he restocks it in ways that are surprising to markets, that will be a problem for him. That'll be a problem for markets. Stability here is what he should be aiming for stability.
All right, we talked about the Federal Reserve for 90 seconds and no buzzer. Not yet, anyway.
Wait for it.
Brian, yeah, I was waiting. Brian and Scott, thank you very much for joining us, gentlemen. Much obliged to you.